What's going on, everybody? I'm Josh Morris, and welcome to the Everything Paranormal Show, where we discuss everything paranormal. And guys, I have missed you because we didn't have a show last week. It was Thanksgiving. So I obviously spent time with my family. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. There's a lot of things crazy this year, which we won't get into, but it's been a hell of a year. But we should have thanks. If you were alive and you're still alive, obviously, we should give some thanks for still breathing and still moving forward. So hopefully we'll have a much better year. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. So guys, today we're going to be discussing, opening and closing paranormal sessions is kind of the overall. This is the thought that led me to this. However, what really is important is I got to thinking about things, and I thought, a lot of times paranormal investigators, or as a paranormal investigator, I'll go to a place, and I will sort of open a session, and then I'll close a session, and a lot of times there may be prayers involved, because I have a Christian background. I may use Jesus Christ, God, right? And then I thought to myself, there's a lot of paranormal investigators. There's a lot of people out there that have all kinds of different religions. Some people don't even believe in anything, atheism, whatever it is. Whatever your background is, I thought, well, why is it important? Like, should everybody open and close sessions? I've seen a lot of these things. I've seen people do it. Some people pray. Some people do different things. So why is it important for people to open and close sessions and be respectful? So that's what I want to dive in today, is why it's important for everyone to respect the paranormal. It is important regardless of whether you're religious or not. No matter what religion it is, it's very important, in my opinion, why you should be respectful. And we're going to dive into that tonight. So let's see here in the chat. We've already got Bob Fountain, the one, the only, the legend, Bob Fountain. He says, Josh lives. The end of the world has been canceled. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to do a Thanksgiving show, but in all honesty, everything was just so hectic. We had a tennis tournament that weekend, and just Thanksgiving Day, like, oh my gosh. You guys, Terry Lynn is an amazing cook, and I just could not hardly move. And hey, there's Visually Crete TV. Justin, he says, here to show the love. Awesome. Thank you. It's good to see you, Justin. Tatalongo, Stacy Talich, right? He says, hey. Of course, Terry Lynn, folks, he says, hey, everyone, and welcome. So, guys, let's get this party started. Let's talk about, again, why it's important to open and close paranormal. Now, again, there's so many backgrounds in paranormal. Everybody's got their beliefs. I mean, again, they range so much. But, guys, it's really important and to respect the spirits, because often, and this is something I was, and my wife and I have talked about this off and on, and I've also talked about it with other investigators and people in the field, and that is, they will see people. Sometimes they're newbies, right? They're noobs, and they're in the world. They're out there. They go to these haunted places or these paranormal locations, and then they get frustrated, or maybe they want to see something, so they start badgering and just belittling ghosts and trying to call them out, provoking, right? They use provocation, and they do a lot of bad things, unorthodox things in the paranormal community. And so you might say to yourself, well, what does it have to do with me, or why should that matter? And it's very important, because often, and let me finish with what we're talking about, often that same individual months down the road will start to believe. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you see these people, they start in this, maybe non-believers, and then eventually they start to believe. Well, guess what? At some point, they start picking up hitchhikers, or what we call attachments, right? Sometimes they're taking these attachments home, and next thing you know, these guys, they haven't been in the industry or the field of paranormal long, so they start struggling. Now they need help, or they may not even know they need help, and it could be affecting others. So that's why it's extremely important, right, to make sure that you start out, regardless of your background, and start right by respect. Okay, so opening and closing sessions, and there's going to be more reasons. We're going to talk about this. This is not just a quick subject. We're going to talk more about respect. And guys, in the chat, if you want to chime in, I know we got some amazing experts in the chat tonight. So if you guys want to chime in and add to anything about respect, about these type of things, trust me, we're going to get into some of those things. So, okay, karma. Okay, karma is pretty big. Some people believe in karma, some people don't, but karma is pretty real. And so again, what people don't realize is that when they go to these places and they are mean, or they don't know what they're doing, and they really push the boundaries, they may walk away from this. They may go home, nothing happens. They're like, see, I totally tore up that Ouija board and lit it on fire, or threw it in the fireplace, or I don't know, whatever. They go around, they disrespect rules, ghost, provoke, call things names, very disrespectful. And they go home and hey, nothing happened to me. A month later, hey, nothing happened to me. A year later, hey, nothing ever happened to me. But what they don't realize is sometimes what they're doing may not affect them. That's not always how it works. So again, if you're watching this and you're one of those people that you get out there and you're just like, man, I don't care. I go on these investigations. I'm the naysayer. I'm the one that, sits there and I'm the cynic. And, I talk crap to these demons and these ghosts all the time, and they never do anything. I've never gotten scratched. I've never gotten this or never gotten that. Folks, it's not probably going to affect you. Okay? It's going to affect somebody you love, somebody you know. Maybe, and here's the thing, it may not even be somebody you know or love, but you may be at that location and you may be causing some pretty major damage for the next people to come in. And of course, there's people that's going to say, why should I care about the next person? I mean, you should, because it could be somebody that you know or care about someday. So that's why I say, guys, it's extremely, extremely important that you truly have to respect the paranormal, because again, even if you don't believe, again, regardless of religion, but you should respect the spirits. That way, no matter what, because eventually you may start to believe, and by that time it may be too late. But if you start early, or if you start practicing good habits, right, things get better. So Terry Lynn says, of course, provoking. That was the word I was struggling with at first, but I did remember. She said, then they have to call us reliable investigators, right? So, hey, Morales, paranormal stuff has been happening in my apartment recently. Ooh, do tell. So absolutely, if you want to share, if you're willing to share, feel free to pop it in there. We're going to talk about it. So, yeah, even my wife's like, hey, please elaborate. So yes, and of course, while you're sharing and stuff, obviously we'll continue talking about respect. I respect the spirits in my apartment. I think they're good spirits. And yes, that's good. Now, there's also things that you want to do even with good spirits in the house. Now, one thing that, and I want to make this point, no matter what stage of investigator you are, no matter how long you've been in this industry, you can always learn. And if you have a good network of folks, then you learn, you know. So, for example, Bob Fountain, Tata Longo, even Visually Creep TV. There's guys here that's out there in the field, in the industry, and my wife, myself, we've been doing this a very long time. But what's nice is that as we get to know each other over the months and years or whatever, we're able to help each other and learn. So Tata, this is what Stacy's talking about right here. See, he said feed them. Now, this is exactly why I brought this up. That's probably why I said it too. So one thing that I didn't fully realize, I guess again, you don't know everything out there. And not everything's a fact, so sometimes you might hear things. Well, anyways, bottom line is, my wife and I have a good spirit that we let stay here in our house. And we set rules, but we were still having a few negative things. You know, my wife was starting to get sick a little bit. My wife was still having some bad dreams, things like that. So one thing that Stacy educated me on was to make sure to leave out a fresh, bowl of water. If you have a good spirit, leave a fresh bowl of water like under your bed or something near where you sleep, and that helps. That helps to, as he said, feed them. But that water, and guess what, guys? We've been doing that, and I don't know if I had a chance to really tell Stacy yet. But yes, Stacy, we have been doing that ever since the last time you were on the show. Excuse me. And we've been changing out the water. And yeah, Terry Lynn has not had any bad dreams anytime she's had fresh water under her bed. And things have been very smooth when it comes to our friendly ghost. So guys, even if you have a good spirit, you may want to listen to that. Put a bowl of water under your bed, change it out every night, and that's going to help any kind of negative dreams. It's going to help to quell, I think, some of that activity, and because it helps balance their energy. So let me look here. Terry says, yeah, laugh out loud at VCTV. Yours likes baby gates. Yeah, it does. I make sure I have water under my bed. Yeah, that's what and working on a case right now involving young children. Okay, yeah, that's always tough too, Bob. And yeah, Terry said she hadn't had a nightmare since. Excellent. Now, if I could just get rid of headaches when I wake up, I sometimes wake up with them. Yeah, I mean, that might not be paranormal. This is probably us. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes every once in a while I wake up, but I think it's my pillow. Sometimes I don't know. I think it's my pillow. I try not to jump to everything paranormal, but hey, you never know. You never know. So the respect issue. See, one of the things is we don't really know what's actually going on. We all have theories. We say this, we say that, but nobody truly really knows, right? So it's kind of one of those safe things, right? It's better to be safe. So be respectful and knock. So what does it mean to open and close paranormal sessions? Well, I've seen many different methods for opening and closing paranormal sessions. First, I guess I should define what paranormal sessions mean for people. And paranormal sessions can really mean like when you go to start an investigation, or if you go to do an EVP session, or dowsing rods or something. When you go to actually do something that you're potentially going to interact with spirits, then you should open the session and then when you're done, close the session. So let's see what else here. Florida water. They're still trying to talk to you. Yes, Florida water. When you wake up, it'll go away. Florida water. Yes, cleanse it. Cleanse yourself with it. I mean, I'm in Tennessee. Look on Amazon. Florida water. I have Christmas Santa that when one presses the hand, Santa Claus is coming to town play. But when cut off in the middle of the night, who pressed the hand? Yeah, I mean, when you have electronics that go off in the middle of the night, I would love to say that's always paranormal. That's always can be a little sketchy. People can always explain that, but at the same time, we use devices that we ask spirits to trigger all the time. So where do you draw the line, right? So certainly you're going to want to, if you know you've got paranormal, most likely it's paranormal. But that sounds kind of creepy though. And I guess not, it's funny how we say creepy because it's playing like, Santa's coming to town, right? So it shouldn't be creepy. It should be happy music. But I guess just the idea of it being creepy, of going off in the middle of the night. But yeah, I mean, you could do now, one idea that you could always do, is you could maybe, if you have any kind of meter, like a K2 meter or something, if you could put something near the Santa and just kind of see what kind of baseline you're getting. If there's nothing around the Santa, maybe if you can leave the meter there, and then if it goes off and the meter goes off, maybe even try to film it with a camera one night. If it continually happens, these are just some experiments you can do just to see if maybe you catch anything else going on at that exact time that might validate that. So just an idea. Let's see what else. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to talk to you guys about this whole karma thing, right? Is you guys got to remember, and you might want to listen up, guys. I'm going to throw some numbers out here. So I just want you to process these numbers for a second, because I want you to realize how much sometimes negativity is out there in the world of paranormal. So it's important we close things down and that we do things properly, because again, if you don't, just because you don't believe in it now, you could screw something up for somebody else. So for example, did you know that if you type in Google, if people ask how to use a Ouija board, only 783,000, responses on Google, or, results. So, but, in all fairness, if you add the word safely, how to safely use a Ouija board, there's actually 7.76 million results. So that's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. Now, when you type in Ouija boards gone wrong, you actually get 6.9 million results on Google. So I want you to think about that. We have a hell of a lot of people that are safely or trying to safely use Ouija boards, but we also have a hell of a lot of Ouija gone wrong. Okay, so Ouija boards, it's very important. Again, that's just a device, but the point is you're opening and you're closing something. There's a way to, even if you use a spirit board, there's a way to open it and close it, right? This is important things. So if you know that Ouija board's gone wrong, 6.9 million results. A lot of people were needing some help. Okay. Now, if you think that's bad, I got something else that's going to blow your mind. So if you actually, all right, hold on. I must pause real quick. What did we get? So Visually Creep says, I don't think even me will mess with that Ouija board. Yeah, I mean, Ouija boards, in all fairness, look, a Ouija board is a tool. You know, you doing a spirit box is a tool to communicate. A Ouija board is a tool to communicate. Dowsing rods, all those things. They're all tools to communicate to the afterlife. So Ouija boards have a bad rap. The thing that I guess I'm splitting hairs because I'm not a big fan of Ouija boards because of course, usually it's a couple people touching that planchette, but also you're almost having the spirits sort of touch you in a way. You're almost sort of channeling it through you. Again, I know I'm splitting hairs, so I just try to stay away from that. I'm just not a big fan of it anyways. Really, it's just too much to keep my elbows up and all that. It's like I'd rather just communicate through spirit boxes and things like that. But anyway, so here's something I'm gonna blow your guys' mind with this one. So I just want you to let this one set into you. If you type in Google and you say, I have a ghost attachment, you actually get 94.7 million results. All right. So there is a lot of people out there that has actually Googled that they have an attachment. Okay. So something's going wrong. Something is following people and they know what attachment is, but 94.7 million results on Google for I have a ghost attachment. So just a little food for thought. I wanted to throw a few numbers out at you guys. These could be good tags for videos, right? We had a client that coexisted with several entities. The problem was it attracted an extremely negative one. Well, and that's true. I think that anytime you're, and this is something that I've always talked about. I think the more you work with paranormal, the more open you are, psychic mediums, clairvoyance, sensitive intuition or intuits like Terralyn and I, when you're using your intuitions, empathy, is all those things. I think you're more of a beacon of light, right? You're going to attract paranormal. And of course, if you have a good spirit hanging around and you're coexisting, right, you're going to have more, you're going to get a revolving door of spirits. So you have to sort of decide who you're going to keep, who you're going to evict, if you can, if you're going to try to still live with one. Now, again, I'm not sure. Ever since we really started feeding that spirit, we haven't really seen much. Now we were, I don't want to really get into it, but we were visited by another ghost here recently. It happens. So they come and go. Again, we get visited. And a lot of times we just tell them, hey, now, which brings me to my point originally, and that is opening and closing sessions. So what exactly is opening and closing a session? Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier about what a session is, but it's important. This is where you kind of set the stage. So, and there's so many different ways, guys. Don't criticize me. Obviously, you're going to have to understand the point of it. There's no exact, it's not like you're going to get up there and it's like, okay, there's no seance or, God, who knows? I probably just summoned I'd probably just open up a gate. Anyways, gibberish, guys, gibberish, I swear. But look, for real, there's no, I don't think a true way, it's all about the intent, right? So in other words, what I like to do when I open a session is I do like to ask the spirits if they would like to communicate. I like to give them that option, not like, hey, you have to communicate. I like to ask them if they'd like to communicate. I invite them basically, but sometimes I set the rules and say, I don't want to talk to negative entities, only positive spirits, I like to set that tone. Doesn't mean it always works. No, but you're opening the door for communication. You're basically allowing, you're giving permission. You're saying, hey, you can come and talk with me. You're being respectful to them. That helps out quite a bit to open that session. Okay. Now, another thing in opening. So let's say you're going to a location. One way to start the opening is, again, you can also open that session by asking spirits to, you can, again, you want to put it out there in a nice way. And before you enter, you knock. Now, like down in Stacy Talish's area, down in the Cajun area, I believe it's usually three knocks, and then you can enter to let the spirits know. Now, some people just knock, there's don't, whatever. So they'll knock. I've seen different ones. But again, I think around that sort of voodoo culture and sort of that New Orleans, from what I understand, when I've seen like the voodoo priestess, they'll knock 3 times and things like that. And I think they even have like a rite down there on the floor and things. But anyways, but again, you want to open that session. Now you can interact. Again, be respectful while you're investigating, So provoking. I do want to cover this a little bit as far as a respect issue. I do feel like there is a time and place to provoke. Yes, I said that. Even though you don't hardly ever see me use it. I don't think it should be used to get like views and clicks and likes and things like that on social media. I don't think you should be trying to put on a show and be like, you can't touch me. I dare you to touch me. No. Look, guys, the only time, in my opinion, you really need to provoke, or I guess I should say, if provoking is the right choice, sometimes you have a negative entity that is attacking a family, and they are hiding from you, the investigator. Sometimes, yes, you may have to antagonize so you can provoke that spirit out from hiding, so that way, you can converse or battle or whatever you want to do. So that's probably about the only time I would say provoking is an option. Okay. So, let's see here. We try to catch up a little bit. The problem is the problem was getting rid of the bad entity without removing the good ones that watched out for the family. Yes, Robert, can the good ones return, or would they be considered passed over? I actually had a client ask me if we would ask the entity to come with us so their problem would be solved and we could deal with it somewhere else. Bet you can guess how that was answered. So, separating the good from the bad. Yes, I do believe it can be done. I do believe you can focus your efforts on removing the negative spirit. Typically, if you isolate that negative spirit, you generally can. Now, if you start blessing and you start doing blessings on the house and saging a house, if you start cleansing and you do a front to back cleansing, then obviously you're it's like setting off a roach bomb, right? You're like a fogger. You're going to get rid of everything. Okay. But if you are verbally exorcising a ghost out of a house through the power of Christ, or through your psychic power, then or even with the aid of potentially a spirit guide, then yes, you can usually focus on that negative entity and get that out of the house. Usually, again, it's not a perfect science. I mean, it's kind of like priorities, right? If you got a family, it's like, well, we don't want to get rid of the good ghost, but we want to get rid of the bad ghost. Well, they're going to have to understand that there's a possibility when you're done like ghost busting. I know it sounds cliche, but when you're done with that, there's a chance that they may not have anything. It may happen. So you definitely got to communicate with your client and let them understand that. All right. So closing the session. Again, closing, very important. You don't want to just leave a session open-ended because it sort of gives a running permission for ghosts to kind of do what they want. It seems as if we have powers to set the rules. I don't think people understand that enough. We possess the ultimate power in this plane, okay, on this earth, if you will, in this dimension, existence, however you want to word it. But we have power. We have the power, and if you exercise that power, they will listen. They ultimately will listen. You can. And you can set rules. We've done it many times. My wife and I, we've set rules. But it reminds me, the rules remind me of kind of like a small child. They tend to, when you really lay down the law, they'll listen for a while. And then pretty soon they start trying to figure out what they can get away with again. Or sometimes, you lay down a law and you get a new spirit that comes in. You got to remember too, you lay down that law in your house to that spirit, you have another spirit that may come in there. And who knows? And then you got to sort of take on that. And so closing the session is very important. And again, it's usually just simply telling ghosts that you're done communicating, you're ending the communication session, and that they may go back through the portals or the door that they came through, and that you're done communicating with them. And I always like to thank them as well. Again, being respectful, thanking the spirits for communicating with me. Now we're done. All right, go back. No, and do not follow me. If I'm at a remote location, I'm like, hey, do not follow me. Of course, you guys know that I wear my crystal that I have. Okay, so it's important. Again, not everybody maybe does the crystal. What I use my crystal for is I program it. When the crystal picked me out, I used to have it in my pocket. I did that for a while, and then I ended up making it into a necklace. So with the energy of the crystal, you don't let other people handle your crystal. But first you cleanse it, and that's by simply just running, clean water over your crystal. That's actually the method for cleansing it. Okay, and then from there, what I did is I programmed it, and I programmed my crystal by holding it and projecting my psychic, my PKE, if you will, your psychic kinetic energy. And I focused my energy into the crystal and said, and I thought about what I want that crystal to do for me, which for me, this crystal for me is for protection from attachments. And it allows communication, but it also protects my personal aura, so to speak, my personal being from attachments. Okay. So generally when I leave a place, usually my crystal is, if for some reason I forget to tell spirits, hey, you can't come home with me, usually my crystal is sort of doing that job for me naturally. But it also allows for communication, because I don't want to go to an investigation and the crystal is blocking everything. I do want to be able to communicate and interact with spirits, but I just don't want them to personally attach to me or invade my aura. So that's what my crystal's for. So I just want to let you guys know that. But closing a session, again, important. Make sure you do that. Guys, I can't stress this enough. If you're listening to this and you're new to the game, I would say even in the first few years of being in paranormal, open and close sessions, be respectful. It will go a long way. Here's another thing I noticed. A lot of investigators, when they get into this, in their first year or so, they pick up a lot of attachments. They don't mean to, because again, it's not habit for them. And so it's not a habit for them. So they end up picking up a lot of attachments, and things start getting out of hand. And I've seen many of investigators quit because their homes, their personal homes, have gotten out of hand, and they've gotten super haunted, and or their families are getting attacked. Guys, if that's starting to happen to you, make sure you reach out to other veteran investigators. There is hope. And once you take control of your house, everything's fine again. You can still stay in the world of paranormal. Don't give up. Just get knowledge. Don't be ignorant. Learn, and start to take control of your household and start managing your communication. It'll just make your life a lot better with dealing with paranormal. If not, again, it can quickly get out of hand. Trust me, it can quickly get out of hand. So let's see. Bob says we visually creep. We got a priest that was willing to do an exorcism, defining only negative entities, had to leave, but also asked if any needed help to cross over. It worked well. I have black tourmaline I recently acquired. I have a crystal, prayers, and Reiki before I begin. Reiki. If I sense we are in a negative site, I sage all of my gear piece by piece before it is brought back home. Yeah, that's good advice. Sage. The reason why, I think sage is very effective is because a lot of it comes from the Indians, right? And I think the Native Americans, they were very spiritual because they were very close to the earth. They were very much in tune with the earth and the spiritual worlds. So I think, again, there's much that we learned from Native Americans that have came into dealing with some of this stuff in the world of paranormal as well. And even other cultures that would use different herbs, sages, things like that, to combat or to help with paranormal. So yeah, man. So black tourmaline. Now again, I'm not a rock expert. I'm not a crystal expert. I know certain things can help protect you. Like, we have stuff for our home. What I like to tell people is, if you can, try to do, I personally like clear quartz for my personal being when I go to somewhere. Now, you can use other things. Again, I'm not a rock expert, but I know enough-ish, right? I know enough to be stupid-ish, deadly. I don't know. So, but in your home, we have different, we have some selenite, we have some jet, we have some shungite, and those stones all sort of help to cleanse, some protect, but they're all for really just protecting and cleansing your home. So ironically, a lot of our paranormal activity is in the areas of our home that we don't have any stones in, or protection, so to speak. So white sage attracts spirits, brown sage repels them. See, and I'm not an expert on those things. I've always, in my paranormal career, I've always been I didn't really use a whole lot of things. I didn't do a lot of saging. I didn't even do a lot of, I don't do blessings. Some paranormal investigators will do the holy water. They'll do cleansings. I don't. Typically, my wife and I, we usually have enough power within us to kind of help and do what we need to do to take care of those things. But all of these things can't hurt, right? And things do work. I have seen some of this stuff work. So for those of you that are watching, you're kind of like, I don't know, man, stones and burning weeds and stuff, and herbs and stuff. What's going on here? Are we making sausage? What are we doing? So what I'm saying is, guys, look into some of this. If you don't know much about those type of things, definitely do your research, because that will help you in the end. So, so going back to the point of this whole conversation tonight is respecting ghosts, respecting the paranormal, being respectful of those things. If you don't believe in God, if you're not a Christian, if you're not, it doesn't matter what you are. Don't just go in there and because let me tell you something. There's going to be two things I'm going to talk about here during this last like 20 minutes of the show. Is one, okay, so for example, I saw a YouTube show, and some of you may see this. I don't want to name names because again, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but I mean, for entertainment purposes, I enjoy watching them to a point. But there's a particular show out there. And there's two guys, okay? One of them is he's like your cynic. I wouldn't say skeptic, but after watching him, he's cynical. And I think he just really sort of plays it up even more for the camera, but he's cynical. The other guy, he's a believer. And what I don't like is a lot of times the cynical guy gets in there and he will go to like Bobby Mackey's. He'll go to some of these places that do have real hauntings, real consequences. You want to know about Bobby Mackey's and how bad it can be? Ask Bob Fountain in the chat about Bobby Mackey's. Okay? So the point is, this guy is going to go into Bobby Mackey's and he's going to start provoking and talking smack to the spirits, to the ghosts. This guy's going to go in there. Did something happen to him during the show? No. Did I wish it did? Hell yeah. I wish he had the karma. I wish something would have, and he's even like, oh, I wish this, But the problem is, guys, he just made it worse for the next people. Because the people that spirits, the evil spirits prey on is the vulnerable. It's not going to be the guy talking smack and is Mr. All High and Mighty. Now, maybe something happens to him later on. Maybe he'll get some karma, but most likely it's going to be either his friend or it's going to be the next people that investigated Bobby Mackey's, or other people. So, in all the other places that he's visited and was just a complete butthole about things. So that's why I'm saying, folks, don't be that guy, please, because you're going to hurt other people. Okay? Now, at least open up and close. At least shut it down. If you're going to be a butthole to some of these locations, close it down at least or something. I mean, you can't. I mean, don't be a butthole, but just it just drives me crazy. So yeah, Bob says Bobby Mackey's almost died, not going back. Justin VCTV says Bobby Mackey has got some stuff, and Stacy Tatalago says a lot of people will use white sage to cleanse the site, but they're attracting higher level spirits instead. Bad spirits don't leave. Turning on the light doesn't get rid of cockroaches, right? So that's a good point, though. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't have known that. So guys, if you're gonna repel, use brown sage, right, Stacy? Brown sage. Make sure it's brown sage. And I'm assuming you may not want to even go by the actual color when you buy it. I never like to go by the color because white sage may look brown. Who knows? I don't even know what it looks like. I've seen sage. Don't get me wrong, but I've never said, "Oh, is that white sage?" or "Oh, is that brown sage?" I don't know. So, and then Moises says, check out the Foreman brothers under Paranormal Nightmare. They're good paranormal investigators. Dude, I cannot stand I'm just kidding. The Foreman brothers are cool. No, I mean, they seem to be pretty good. My wife and I, we watch them. The brothers, was it Rocky, Josh, and Sean? So they seem to be really good, though. I will admit. They're not bad. I wouldn't mind collabing with them someday, or doing something just to kind of work with them and see how they operate off camera and during camera. They seem like the kind of people that probably are about the same as what you see on camera. So that's pretty cool. I've been in this industry a long time, and it's kind of always neat to be able to work with some different people behind the scenes, and you kind of see who really cares about paranormal and who doesn't care about paranormal, and but those guys seem like they're pretty legit. So shout out to the Foreman brothers. If for some reason you're watching my little tiny everything paranormal show, then hit me up, because I'd love to hang out with you. Justin with Visually Creep TV, we got something that we're cooking up for you folks. We're going to release more details real soon. I don't want to spoil any of that. But we've got some things worked up coming up that we're going to be doing this year with the holiday season. We don't want to forget about the ghosts, right? We don't want to just get cozy by the fire. We want to still get a little spooked out sometimes, right? During the spirit of things. Pun intended. I'll admit it, man. Be man enough. Say pun intended. Everybody's like, no pun intended. No. Just man up. Say, yes, pun intended. All right. Brown sage has pine needles in it. Interesting. See, you learn stuff all the time. And I heard that place destroyed personal relationships after visiting and attachments. Yeah, I mean, guys, I do believe, look, and I want to touch on this too. Big box places like Bobby Mack, like the big names that you've all heard on TV, right? Wavy the Hills, Queen Mary, St. Augustine Lighthouse, Bobby Mackey's and stuff. I do think that some of those locations legit have some serious activity. Some of them, I'm not so convinced. I think some of it's a little touristy. I think there could have been paranormal activity at some point, but I think with the amount of turnover that goes through there and things like that, I'm not even convinced that some of that is legitimate activity anymore. But yes, I think Bobby Mackey's, there seems to be like you can go and get haunted stories from certain places. Like you'll go and you'll hear stories about like the Queen Mary or Winchester House, things like that, where you'll hear people being touched or nothing like too serious, but activity. But then with Bobby Mackey's, you hear like actual negative stories of, and even Bob will tell you, he almost died, and the details of what happened to him is horrible. And he's a good friend of mine. It's horrible. And when you personally know somebody that their reputation, how they are, and they're good people, and they tell you what happened to them, you're just like, damn. Some people you might think, well, maybe it's a fish story, right? They went to a scary place and something. No, guys, Bobby Mackey's, there's a few places, like I'll tell you, are they're legitimate. You will, maybe not 100% of the time, but most likely you can get seriously hurt from some of these places. So take that for what you will. Again, you might have some people go in there, and that's my point I was going back to, is this one asshole going in there, butthole, sorry. it's hard. And going in and just talking smack, and all this other stuff, and then walks out of there, and every place he goes to and talks smack to, some of the most haunted places in the world, and he's going there talking smack. Nothing's happening to me. I'm not getting attacked. Nothing's happening at all. Well, good for him. But other people are probably going there afterwards, and they're taking it out on the vulnerable. So sleep on that one. You know who you are out there. One more thing I definitely want to dive into as we get to this last 10 minutes of the show or so is fakers, okay? The fake paranormal channels out there. And yes, I'm directly saying there is a lot of fake channels out there. Does that make me popular? No. Do I care? No. Who do I care about? If you're watching my show and you're legitimately here to learn and you would appreciate the talk shows, the guests we have, my field investigations, if you truly enjoy this channel, hey, awesome. I love you. And you're a part of my family. But for those people out there that are faking stuff and they're getting hundreds of thousands of views, it's not that I'm jealous. Far from it. I'll grow this channel one person at a time. If it's legitimately and it takes me 10 years, great. If it takes me 10 years and I have 2,000 people in 10 years, but we're still doing it and I have a core fan base that it's true and honest, that's fine with me. But for those of you out there that watch this and you've got several 100,000 viewers, if not in the millions, and you somehow stumble across my show and you watch this and you get to this part and you're out there faking it, well, there's a lot of things I'd like to say to you. But for now, I'm going to keep it polite for my audience. And I'm just going to say this. You're messing stuff up for us, the legitimate people. And just because you may not believe in ghosts and you're doing it for the ratings, for the money, or maybe you do believe in ghosts, but you're still faking it, guess what? Again, you're only going to harm the next people that come in there, or friends or family that are near you may suffer. And that karma will be on you because you tempted fate. Sorry to go to a dark moment there, folks, but it's important to put that out there, guys, because I truly believe in this industry, and I'm very passionate about bringing you guys the truth. You know what I say, seek the truth, right? I say it at the end of all my shows pretty much, seek the truth, because there's a lot of truth out there, and there's a lot of non-truth, more non-truth out there on YouTube in paranormal, unfortunately, right? So, guys, that's why I said seek the truth, all right? I've been doing this a long time. You don't get a lot of activity like you see on these channels, on these TV shows. You don't get these doors always slammed, and you don't get all these dark shadows on camera all the time. You don't get this major activity every single time, chairs flipping over, pitchforks, guys falling down, getting dragged off camera. Come on, really? You know who you are. You know who you are, Mr. Getting dragged off a camera. You know who you are, Mr. Flipping chairs. You know who you are, having people hide behind doors. You know who you are when you walk by somebody and don't turn the camera on because they're secretly hiding. You know all these tricks. You know all the little tricks, the editing tricks and all the things. Oh, look, just happened that things go dark, whatever. Hey, whatever. You know the tricks out there. I've been around the block, I know. But you're only causing that karma. This is what the show is all about, is karma and negativity and things getting, out there for other people. Why it's important to respect paranormal. Because there's innocent bystanders, folks. So I know I'm very joking and lighthearted all the time, but sometimes you got to put it out there, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not, I hate seeing it sometimes. Sometimes I enjoy watching things for entertainment purposes, but then sometimes it just irritates the hell out of me because I'm sitting there watching these shows and they are making a mockery of paranormal. And there is legitimate activity. There is EVPs. We've captured audio. We've captured things on EVPs. I've communicated with spirits using dowsing rods. I've communicated with electronic devices. I've had these things happen. It is legitimate out there, but there's so many of these people that are faking it, and I'm getting sick of it. Because again, you're hurting innocent bystanders. Okay, so moving on. So Bob says, rule of thumb for respect: visualize going into a bar, walking up to the biggest, largest guy, would you say to this guy what you plan on saying to an entity? Justin says, you laugh out loud. It's short-lived for them types. And Tata Longo says, ditto. And whether you said ditto to Justin or Bob, I would say ditto to all that. Yes, guys, you're very smart, very perceptive. I love my chat, man. I love the guys that show up to my show. You guys are awesome. We're still missing a few regulars. It's sad. Maybe they missed me over Thanksgiving. They're mad at me, so they punish me. They're like, Josh, you didn't have a show last Thursday, so we're not coming to this one. I know you didn't do that, so that's okay. But as I start to wrap it up, guys, if you have any comments, questions, also if there's any topics regarding respect, if there's any topics regarding opening and closing sessions, advice, questions, anything like that, go ahead and start getting them in the chat now. But as we wrap up, I do want to say, looking forward to, so what can we expect coming up this month? Well, it's Christmas. And for me, Christmas does involve Christ. So I'm not ashamed to admit it. So I'm happy. But Christmas is going to be fun. As far as what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue doing a show every week. I think Christmas is, Friday or something like that, maybe. But I'll try to do a show every night. Again, I know Visually Creep TV, Justin, we have something planned. I don't want to get into the details of that, but we're going to be announcing that soon. And guys, maybe we'll try to talk to Bob and see how he feels about coming back on the show. Bob hasn't been on the show in a while, and I miss him. We see him in the chat all the time. I'd love to see him back on here again soon. But we'll do some things this winter. And as far as me getting out in the field, I've got some more things lined up, and I will be going back out. I've got some other videos. Oh, so for those of you, I did want to cover this too. For those of you that I released a video about a little over a week ago, where I started doing Thrive. And I'm not a promoter. I'm not trying to sell Thrive or anything. But anytime I do something like that, I want to share with you guys. And so I started taking Thrive a little over a week ago. Yes, I'm still doing the Thrive. And yes, I've started losing some weight. I didn't even change my diet. I didn't change any of my dieting for that first week. Ate the same. In fact, we had Thanksgiving, and I overate during Thanksgiving. So I didn't change any of my dieting. I didn't do any of that, changing that. And I ended up losing weight. It reversed. My weight gain started to reverse. So guys, this week I've started to actually work out. I'm getting on the elliptical along with still doing the Thrive. So I am going to actually do a follow-up video. I'm going to do a couple of videos on this because I feel it's important for people. I want to do a week follow-up video to kind of talk about that first week and maybe talk about some specifics. And then there's something else I want to share with you guys that I think is pretty cool. And it's paranormal related. And it's also fitness related, fitness and paranormal. It's kind of weird, but I want to talk about that in another video. So Bob says, why don't you have a show where your listeners interview you? I'm too old and fat to be on the show. Visualize the Crypt Keeper. Bob, you've been on the show. You've been on the show, what? I think you've been on the most. Isn't there like an award for that when you've been on the show the most times than other guests? But I will admit, Bob, that could be a good idea. Maybe we'll have to get all of you guys that are like the regulars. If you're watching this, maybe we'll pick a week and I'll advertise it, and then you guys can come up with your questions. And as long as you're there, because if you're not there, if you don't show up to the show, then I would be sitting here talking and going, okay, well, I was supposed to be interviewed by my chat tonight, and nobody's here. My workouts consist getting my socks on without passing out. Yes, the reward is sucker. All right. Oh, I know. It's like my workouts. You're getting fat when your workouts start being like everyday chores, like taking a shower, getting dressed, putting my shoes on, putting my socks on. Putting my shoes on. Like all these tasks are taking on a new form of yoga, and it's like, wow, I'm working out. But yes, I've never been this big in my life, so I want to get down and try to be a good looking guy for you guys again. Hopefully I can get as good looking as maybe Justin. Justin's a good looking guy in our chat. He's probably got us all beat. But guys, if you want to do that, one of these shows, if you want to come up with a list of questions for me, personal questions, whatever you guys want to ask, embarrassing questions, I don't care. You know me, guys. I share. I've probably told you all my embarrassing stuff. I don't know. And if not, you can always read the book, My Paranormal, A Guide to the Spirit Realms. So let's see here. Oh, we do got to pause. There's a couple things we got to do before we wrap up. One is we got to take a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to come back and talk about something else. Hey guys, if you like the work that we do here at the Everything Paranormal Show, there's many ways that you can help support the channel. Go to the everythingparanormalshow.com, click donate or subscribe. That's going to help us out. And if you can't do that, click like and share, and that's going to help us out in a tremendous way. Thank you so much, guys. All right. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about, and I really meant what I said in that commercial, that sharing my video is really one of the best things you can do. Please share it to your social media sites, helping to build up that audience. That helps spread awareness, and the more people I can talk to, and we can get that truth out there, right? Seek the truth. Okay, so one thing I also want to say as we go to wrap up, guys, you guys know every week I'm going to talk about Paranormal Underground Magazine. That's right. Bob Fountain, he writes for them. He's one of their writers. But guys, I just got the new episode, and it's great. The new magazine, it's great. I had already started to look at a few of the articles. I don't want to spoil it for you, so you're going to have to go in and check it out yourself. But again, every first of the month, you're gonna get a full-on magazine, and you can get it in paper. There's a place you can order a paper copy, like a printed copy, if you really want that good old-fashioned magazine feel. But the digital copy, it's amazing. And I'm telling you guys, it's for Paranormal Underground Magazine. So go visit them, right? ParanormalUnderground.net or something like that. Just look them up. You guys know how to use Google. Look them up. Notify them, tell them that you'd love to get the magazine. Say, hey, Josh Morris from the Everything Paranormal Show said to email you guys, and guess what? They will put you on the list. You will get 1 year, 12 issues for free. Okay? Maybe even longer. I think I may even be. Has it been over a year now, Bob? I don't even know. It's been a long time, because Bob was the one that turned me on to him when I met him at the book signing event when I was at the Outer Realm Fest. So, but guys, they will send you that magazine for a year for free. Bob had another article in it this month. Justin even says, Robert, I'm so used to just calling him Bob. Robert, I'm on my way to that subscription. Did you do it? Did you do it, Justin? Did you actually submit the email? Oh, and Janet Ramsey said hello. She popped in there. So if I missed you and she popped out, sorry. But hey, Janet, hello. I do try to catch everybody if I can, guys, and I apologize if I don't. Let's see. I think that about covers everything. Let's see. My book. But yeah, I think I hope you guys learned something today. For those of you that are wanting to know who don't like free stuff, right? I will tomorrow for sure. don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Telling you, go look it up. It's not hard. You just shoot him a quick little email saying, "Hey, Josh Moore sent me," and who knows? You may even win a spot on the cover. Bob, I'm going to put this out there. But Bob, I think, I'm putting together a little letter for Cheryl Knight, the owner of Paranormal Underground Magazine. Maybe I can get Bob to help back it up. But I would like to try to propose that we try to get a spotlight on Justin Soto over there at Visually Creep TV. He does Paranormal Underground or Paranormal Exploration. So he goes to these places, whether it's graveyards or, again, prairie homes, whatever it is, and he will go there, explore, and so he's doing the urban exploration combined with paranormal investigating. Guys, Visually Creep TV, you got to go check it out. But I want to try to get him in the Paranormal Underground magazine. So, Bob, hopefully you can back me up on that. I'm going to submit something nice to Cheryl Knight. Cheryl, if you're watching, hey, that'd be cool if we can work on getting Justin on the magazine. I think that would be pretty cool. He's a good dude. So anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I hope you learned a lot tonight. Guys, as always, it's my honor, my pleasure to come on here, spend the evening with you fine folks. And remember, seek the truth, folks. We'll see you next week. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you next week, guys.